For the voice nerve center is the highest vibration in the whole nerve system. The voice is the channel for the expression of emotion and ideas in this dimension. The emotional content of the voice can either underscore or belie the ideas being expressed. If we really wish to know a person's true feelings, we can listen not only to the words, but also to the voice. Our emotional response is dependent more oft upon the tone of the voice rather than the content. Conversely, we are influencing our world by our very utterance. A point delightfully illustrated in Shaw's Pygmalion and sung in My Fair Lady by Professor Higgins. Quote, "It's her ahs and her gnars," end of quote, that keep her in her place, not her grimy hands and dirty face, end of quote. A well-modulated, expressive speaking voice is a great boon as a beautiful face, and much more easily obtainable for most of us. The singing voice is an extension and a refinement of the speaking voice. Do apply in the life, art, music. Do use these in thy experience. First, get sung, music, not as to drive self, but that in which ye may contribute, not that you would make a howling success as a career, but the voice is good, the speaking voice is good, trained. It can contribute to church and to home, be most helpful to many, and keep the entity lovely and beautiful. Singing may be defined as sustained speech in a specific pitches. To learn to sing, one must understand the mechanics of speech and apply this understanding as a conscious rather than automatic response. The voice has in common with all musical instruments a motor, a vibrator, and a resonator. In a piano, the motor is the stroke of the finger upon the key. The vibrator is the string which responds to the hit of the hammer, and the resonator is the sounding board. In a string instrument, the finger, or the bow, is the motor. The string is the vibrator, and the body of the instrument itself is the resonator. The musical instrument within man has qualities in common with these instruments. The motor in man is his vital energy reacting on the diaphragm and lungs and producing the steady control flow of the air which activates the vocal cords, causing them to vibrate. Breathing is a natural function of the body and most of the time is under the control of the automatic system. The unconscious mind, which controls the numerous functions of the body, produces slow, even breathing during sleep and quick, deep gasps when there is need for quick energy replaced by renewing of the supply of oxygen. Under great and prolonged stress, heavy, labored breathing may be changed between breaths into a smooth, relaxed flow. One of the ways in which the body releases poison and waste from the system is through the breath. Question 6. Give a suitable breathing exercise for the physical, mental, and spiritual development of the body. Answer 6. The morning exercise and the evening exercise with the breathing would be very good. Mornings. Arise with plenty of fresh air. Rise gently on the toes, raising at the same time the arms high above the head in about the same ratio as the body rises its stride in rising itself on toes. Breathing in, especially through the right nostril, exhaling through the mouth at least 3 times, then 3 times through the left nostril and exhaling through the mouth, These repeated in the evening would be well. In normal breathing, there is an even timing in the inhaling and exhaling. However, in vocalization, singing, speaking, or chanting, the breathing habits are altered. The inhalation of the breath is quick and deep and is controlled by the diaphragm. The muscles of the rib cage are pushed out all the way around the body, resulting in a release and refilling of the lungs. The largest portion of the lungs is at the bottom and in the back, just above the waist. The chest should be held normally high at all times and should not move up and down nor react with the flow of air in or out of the lungs. This is not an easy technique to master, but the results for the singer or speaker are well worth the effort because this method of breathing frees the performer from a noisy intake of air and tends to keep the throat from becoming dry. When perfected, it allows a deep breath in the time allotted for a quote-unquote catch breath. The quick intake of air is released smoothly and evenly by the control of the diaphragm. It is the pressure of the air or breath under the vocal cords which controls the volume. All vocal functions should be executed with the same smooth muscular flow as of a trained athlete or dancer. This controlled pressure used in singing and chanting generates a great deal of force and energy, a principle which is the basis of the yogic breathing. Because there has been a great deal of interest in the use of yogic breathing and the Eastern mantram or chant, it is of interest to see what the readings have to say about it. Edgar Cayce's readings for a physical research director places this important interest within well-defined guidelines. Yes, we have the body, and those conditions, those experiences of the body in the use of yoga, exercise, and breathing. To give that as would be helpful to the body at this time, something of what takes place when such exercises are used, and the experience had by one doing so. These exercises are excellent, yet it is necessary that special preparation be made, or that a perfect understanding be held by the body as to what takes place when such exercises are used. For breath is the basis of the living organism's activity. Thus, such exercise may be beneficial or detrimental in their effects upon the body. Hence, it is necessary that an understanding be had as to how, as to when, or in what manner such may be used. It would be well for the body to study very carefully the information which we have given through these sources as respecting meditation. When this information, as may be given here, may prove of beneficial effect in the experiences of the body. Each soul, individual, or entity finds these facts existent. There is a body physical with all its attributes for the functioning of the body in a three-dimensional or a manifested earth plane. Also there is the body mental, which is the directing influence of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual emotions and manifestations of the body, or the way. The manner in which conducted is related to self, to individuals, as well as to things, conditions, and circumstances. While the mind may not be seen by the physical senses, it can be sensed by others. That is, others may sense the conclusions that have been drawn by the body-mind of the individual, by the manner in which such an individual conducts himself in relationship to things, conditions, or people. Then there is the body spiritual or soul body, that eternal something that is invisible. It is only visible to that consciousness in which the individual entity in patience becomes aware of its relationship to the mental and physical being. All of these then are one in an entity, just as it is considered, realized or acknowledged that the body, mind, and soul are one, that God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are one. Then in the physical body that are those influences, then through which each of these phases of the entity may or does become an active influence. There may be brought about an awareness of this by the exercising of the mind through the manner of directing the breathing. For in the body there is that center in which the soul is expressive, creative in its nature, the Leidic center. By this breathing, this may be made to expand as it moves along the path that it takes in its first inception, at conception, and opens the 7 centers of the body that radiate or are active upon the organism of the body. This in its direction may be held or made to be a helpful influence for specific conditions, at times, by those who have taught or who through experience have found as it were the key, or that which one may do and yet must not do, owing to whatever participation has been made or may be made by the body for the use of this ability, this expression through the body forces. As this life force is expanded, it moves first from the Leidic center through the adrenals, in what may be termed an upward trend, to the pineal and to the centers and control of the emotions or reflexes through the nerve forces of the body. Thus, an entity puts itself through such an activity into association or in conjunction with all it has ever been or may be. 4. It loosens the physical consciousness to the universal consciousness. To allow self in a universal state to be controlled or to be dominated may be harmful. But to know, to feel, and to comprehend as to who or as to what is the dealing direct influence when the self-consciousness has been released and the real ego allowed to arise to expression, it is to be in that state of the universal consciousness, which is indicated in this body here, Edgar Cayce, through which there is given the interpretation.